We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Amud Beis in Meseches Sotah. This is Sotah Daf 19b. The Gemara says, Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, V'hishke, the pasuk says that he gives her to drink. Ma Talmud Lomar, what does the pasuk need to say this for? V'alo kvar nemar, V'hishke doesn't already say that he gives her to drink. What it means is as follows, Shem nimcha Megillah, let's say the scroll is erased. V'omeres, Eini Shos, and at that point in time she says, I am not going to drink. Ma'arinosa, Umashkinosa, Balkarcha. So in that case, we actually force her to drink anyhow. Divrei Rabbi Akiva, that's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, V'achar yashke, it says afterwards he gives her to drink. Ma'atam Lomer, what does the pasuk need to say this for? V'alo kvar nemar, V'hishke, doesn't it already say that he gives her to drink? Ela la'achar kol ma'asim kulon hu amurim lamala. Rather what it means is he gives her to drink after all of the other parts of the procedure that are mentioned above. Magid Gimel Devarim Ma'akvin, but tells us that there are three things that are Ma'akev. He doesn't give her to drink until the following three items are done. Ad Shelo Karef HaKometz, until the kometz is brought. In other words, he can't give her to drink until the kometz is brought of the mincha. V'ad Shelo Nimcha Kam Megillah, he can't give her to drink until the scroll is actually erased. V'ad Shelo Tekavel Aleh Shvuah, he can't give her to drink until she accepts the shvuah. And the Gemara now says, Ad Shelo Karef HaKometz, it says she can't drink. He can't give her to drink until the kometz is brought. Rabbi Shimon L'Taimi, that's Rabbi Shimon according to his reasoning, as we quoted on the previous summit. Because Rabbi Shimon is the one that says, first he brings her karva mincha, and then he gives her to drink. Ad shelo nimcha kam Megillah, then it says that he doesn't give her to drink until the scroll is erased. Elamai mashkala, but that's obvious. How else is he going to give her to drink? What is he giving her to drink from if they didn't erase the scroll in the water yet? So Amar Rav Ashi says, Lo nitzracha l'sharishumo nikar. No, it is needed in a situation where you can still see some of the print. It's erased, but it's not fully erased. And so the chiddush is it has to be fully erased for her to drink. And finally, the other requirement, ad shelo tekavel aleh shavua, it says that she cannot drink until she accepts the oath. And so the Gemara analyzes that. Mishtahu de lo shasi. So it sounds like she can't drink hamichtav kasvila, but it sounds like they're allowed to write the scroll before the shvua. But that's not true. V'yamar Rava, but Rava said, Megillah Sotah shekasva kodem shetekavel aleh shvua, that if you have the scroll of the Sotah written before she accepts the oath, lo asav lo klum, it's no good. It's not good at all if it's written at that point in time. So how does that make sense? And the Gemara says to that, Kedei Naspa, this was just brought along, but it's actually true. In reality, it can't even be written until she accepts the oath. And Rashi explains, Hachi Garsina, this is the text of the Brayse, Toner Rabbanon V'hishke, Matam Adlomar V'lo Kvar Nemar V'hishke. Why does it say V'hishke? Doesn't it already say V'hishke? Shem Nimcha Kavachulu, and that's the gear so that we have in the Gemara. Rashi says, V'lo Garsina Basra Bereisha V'kama B'seifa. Rashi says, don't have the text of Basra and Kama in this Brayse. She'en Zalosh and Brayse, that's not the way a Brayse would speak. Uperish Meshubashu, also there was a mistaken explanation given to this brisa. V'taba v'alo kvar nemar. The reason is because they made a mistake, because the brisa says the phrase v'alo kvar nemar, demashmash hazeh nemar mitchila, which sounded like something that was said earlier, but that's not really the explanation of the brisa. Rashi will now explain the accurate explanation of the brisa. Here's the explanation of the brisa. Seder hamikros kachu. First, you have to know the order of the psukim. The order of the psukim is as follows: V'kasav u'macha. First, the pasuk says that he writes and he erases the scroll. V'hishke. Then it says he gives her to drink. V'heinef hamincha v'hikriv dahainu agosha v'kamatz v'hiktir. Then it says that they wave the mincha. He brings the mincha close to the mizbeach. They do the kmitza. They burn it. V'yachar yashke so isha mayim. Then it says again they give the woman the water to drink. And then it actually says a third time that they give her to drink. It says that they give her to drink the water. So there are actually three times that it says some formulation or some language of giving the sotah to drink. The comment Rabbi Akiva. Now Rabbi Akiva is saying as follows: V'hishke eso isha dechsiv kodem haktaras hamincha. That v'hishke eso isha, which is written before they burn the mincha. Ma'atam lomar. What does it need to say that earlier one for? V'halo kvar nemer. But doesn't it already say achar haktaras hamincha, after they burn the mincha? V'hishke es hamayim. It says they give her to drink after the mincha. In other words, that's why Rashi rejected the original explanation, because it doesn't mean v'halo kvar nemar, that didn't it say earlier in the pasuk, because that's not actually the meaning. What it means is why does it have to say the earlier v'hishke? Doesn't it actually already say accurately the later v'hishke? V'ahu dafku, that's the one that's accurate. V'eino rishon dafku, the first one is not accurate. To midechsiv v'achar yashke so isha, because from the fact that it also says that after the mincha is when he gives her to drink, shma mino hashka achar aktara. You see clearly, according to Rabbi Akiva, that the drinking is after the burning of the karba mincha. And so therefore, that was the question of the Bryce according to Rabbi Akiva. Umatam adlomer v'hishke eso isha. So therefore, why does it say earlier v'hishke eso isha? Achar ha'mechika. Why does it say it after the erasing? What that teaches is as follows. L'lamedcha, it's to teach you. Shem nimchaka ha'megillah. Let's say you have a situation where the Megillah, the scroll is erased. V'yomra eini shosen. She says, I'm not going to drink. V'lo hodisa lomar tme'ani. But she doesn't admit. She doesn't say that I am defiled. She just says she doesn't want to drink. So then ma'arenosa, kilomar poschen pia shelo b'tovasa. Ma'arenosa means we force her, we open up her mouth against her will. V'shovchen es hamayim l'soch gerona, we pour the water into her throat in that situation. The point over here is even if the Megillah, the scroll, was erased before the burning of the mincha, the shelo kedina so akwanim. That's not really the right order. Let's say they even erased the scroll earlier than they were supposed to. So even in that situation, if she doesn't admit, but she says she doesn't want to drink, we force her. Because Rashi says, since she doesn't really drink until after the burning, they shouldn't have erased so early. The more we can delay the erasing, the more we will delay it. Shematoid, because we say maybe she'll admit. Afilu achi, nevertheless, that's what Rabbi Akiva is saying. Hoel v'nimchaka, once it was erased, v'afilu shelo kedin, even if it was erased in the improper order, ein shomen lomar eini sho, so we don't listen to her when she says that I'm not going to drink. Ela otishta otoda, rather she either drinks or she admits. That's why it says the word v'hishka after it mentions the erasing. The real point over here is simply to teach us that the mechika, once there is an erasure, it causes that she has to drink, but it has nothing to do with the order, because according to Rabbi Akiva, the order is clear. The idea is she's supposed to drink after the karban mincha. And Rashi continues and explains Rabbi Shimon's shita. Rabbi Shimon says, V'achar yashke, that after the mincha she drinks. Why does the pasuk say? Doesn't it already say v'hishke? And Rashi notes, Lo polagad Rabbi Akiva. He's not fundamentally arguing on Rabbi Akiva. Elamar darish haikro, they're just darshaning different psukim. This will be explained later on in the sugya. The tarvayu svirlu, that both of them hold the same basic idea. Makrav minchasa v'yachar kach mashke. That first the karban mincha is brought and then she drinks. That's the shita of both Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva, that the drinking comes after the mincha. V'halok var nemar, but doesn't it already say pasuk shlishi v'hishkes hamayim la'achar aktorah matam alomar v'achar yashka? The question of Rabbi Shimon is, it already says v'hishke that the drinking is after the haktorah, after the burning of the komets, after the mincha. So why does it say v'achar yashke? So he's darshaning a halacha from there. Achar kol ha'maisam kulan hamrim lamala means that she drinks after all of the following items are taken care of. Uma omer lamala, what did we say above? Hashva v'kabala uchsiva mechika v'aktaras hamincha, the giving of the oath and the acceptance of the oath and the writing and the erasing of the scroll and the burning of the mincha. The point is that they're all ma'akev in terms of giving her to drink. You have to have the burning of the mincha, you have to have the shvua, and you have to have the erasing. The Gemara is going to ask, obvious, you can't have any drinking before the erasing because you don't have anything to drink. And the Gemara explained the shirishumo nikr. We're talking about, let's say you can still see it, it's a little bit visible. If you can still see the print even a little, you have to erase until there's no imprint, until you can see nothing. Ha-michtav kasvila, and then the Gemara also noted, it sounds like what? You're able to write it. Kohen la-megillah, koden kabol ha-shvua, is the implication over here that you can write the scroll before the acceptance of the shvua bitmiya? That doesn't make sense either. Lo asa klum, that's not true. You can't write it at that point in time. Because the writing of the curses is after the acceptance of the oath. And to that the Gemara answered, Kedei naspa. We mentioned that, Shalol Latzarach, you're right, we didn't need to mention it. We just mentioned it anyway. Because really the truth is, you cannot even write the scroll before the Kabbalah Shvua. You have to write it after the Kabbalah Shvua. And so therefore, of course, the same would be true in terms of the giving her to drink. And the Gemara continues, B'mai komiflagi, what are the Tanoim arguing about? Rashi explains, B'mai komiflagi amasnisin kai. We're not going on the Bryce here, we're actually going on our Mishnah. Uvraisa nakat bereishal ashminan mehecha yolef Rabbi Shimon taimi. We just brought the Bryce at first to show where Rabbi Shimon learns out what he learns out. The kaboy rabbanan hashta hechi darshlu l'kroiv, Rabbi Shimon hechi darshlu l'kulu. Now we're asking, in terms of the machlokas Tanoim in our Mishnah, between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Shimon, in terms of what comes first. Is it the karban mincha or the drinking? So we're asking, how do they darshan the various psukim. And the Gemara explains, Tolosa Karoi Ksivi. There are actually 3 psukim that are written in terms of when she drinks. First there's, and this is as Rashi already said, Vihishka Kama. It says Vihishka at first in the psukim. And then Ve'achar Yashka. Then there's the pasuk that says Ve'achar Yashka. And then there's Vihishka Basra. Then there's the last time it says the word Vihishka. And the Gemara now explains. Rabbanan Sabri, the Rabbanan hold as follows. Vihishka Kamo, that first time it says Vihishka, Lagufo, that is learned, that is the one that we take as the Iker, that's the one that we take to assume that the drinking actually comes before the Mincha. Shamashka V'achar Kach Makar Ves Mincha, that the halacha is first we give her to drink, and then he brings her karba mincha. And therefore, what do we do with the other ones? V'achar Yashka, when it says V'achar Yashka, what does that mean? Miboile L'shiri Shumo Nikar, that just comes to teach us that let's say you can still see the print if it's not completely erased, so then she's not able to drink. And Vihishka Basra, and then the last time it says Vihishka, that just means Shem Nimcha Kamegillah, that once the scroll is erased, V'omeres Eini Shosa, and she says, I'm not going to drink, Ma'aranoso Mashkanoso Bal Karcha. So in that situation, we're going to force her to drink in that case. That's the opinion of the Rabbanan. Rabbi Shimon Savar now. Rabbi Shimon, he holds V'achar Yashke Legufo. V'achar Yashke is the one that we take in order to understand exactly at what point in time she drinks, and that teaches us Shemakar Ves Minchasa V'achar Kach Mashke, that again first he brings her karva mincha and then he gives her to drink. V'hishke Kama, what's the first V'hishke? That teaches us Shem Hishke, that if she does drink, V'achar Kach Hikr Ves Minchasa, let's say they go out of order, he gives her to drink and then she brings the karva mincha, Ksheira, it's still going to be kosher b'diavad. V'hishke Basra, and that last time it says V'hishke, according to Rabbi Shimon, Shem Nimcha Kam Megillah, that teaches us that if the scroll is erased, V'amra Eini Shos, and she says, I'm not going to drink, Ma'aranoso Mashkanoso Bal Karcha, then we physically force her to drink. And the Gemara continues, V'Rabbanan b'diavad lo pasach kron. Now the Rabbanan, they say, they're responding to Rabbi Shimon, they say that the pasuk would not open up with the b'diavad. According to Rabbi Shimon, the first time it says V'hishka, that comes to teach us that b'diavad, if the drinking came first, it's okay. But the Rabbanan say, no, the pasuk would not open up with something that's only b'diavad. And Rashi explains, Rabbanan savri V'hishka kamo dekodem haktorah dafko. According to the Rabbanan, the first time it says V'hishka, which is before they burn the karba mincha, that's the one that tells us when the drinking should be. It should be before the mincha. Now, even though the pasuk also says that after the mincha he gives her to drink, the mashma dafka, it sounds like it's saying the drinking is after. We're forced to say that the first pasuk is the one that we take seriously in terms of the order of the events. And these other pasukim that follow, nitnu lidrosh, those are all for drasha purposes. Again, therefore, that first time it says V'hishke, that means that first he gives her a drink, and then the karba mincha. And when it says V'achar Yashke, even though that's written after the burning of the mincha, it's actually going on the events that happened before, that happened earlier than the burning of the mincha. And the word achar is actually going on the erasing, because it mentions the erasing. The Rabbanan are saying, and what it means to say is that if it wasn't erased properly, he can't give her to drink. And also that last time it says V'hishke, that's also going on when he gave her to drink before the burning. And that's coming for a drasha. Rabbi Shimon Savar V'achar Yashke Mashma Dafku. Rabbi Shimon says no, it's the V'achar Yashke that's the one that tells us the order of the events. B'Dafku Ksiv Al Achar Aktar, it's specifically written after the burning. Lomar Shakul and Ma'akman, but to say that all of these events have to take place first before the drinking. Haktaras HaMincha V'Rosham HaNikr, meaning to say again, the burning of the mincha has to be beforehand. You have to totally erase. V'Kulu Mehacha Nafki. They all learn from here Dekodmin LaHashka, that everything comes before the drinking. V'Hishke Kamo. Now what's the first V'Hishke? La'Achshure Diyavid Ivcha. That's B'Diyavid, to say that if the drinking was done first, it's still kosher. According to Rabbi Shimon, what's the last veshka? That tells us that if it was erased, then we force her. However, but that's only true if it's erased in the proper order. If it was erased after the mincha, so then in that case we'll force her. If it was erased properly, then we make her drink against her will. And the Rashi notes that is the nafkamina between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Akiva does not hold of what Rabbi Shimon holds, that if he does it out of order, b'diavad it's kosher, that if he gives her to drink first and then there's the karba mincha, that it's kosher. He doesn't hold of that drasha. Therefore, Rabbi Akiva says the first v'hishka is not to tell you that b'diavad it's okay out of order. Rather, the first v'hishka is to say that we force her. And that means, according to Rabbi Akiva, v'afagav d'shelo kedin imchik kodem haktara. Even if you didn't do it properly, you erased it before the haktara, v'achar yashkel rishumo nikar, and then achar yashkel is for rishumo nikar, that if you can still see it, if it's still visible, then you don't give her to drink. V'hishke basra lagufe, and again, according to Rabbi Akiva, the ladder of v'hishke, that teaches us the order of the events. Lomar shemakar minchasa v'yachar kach mashke. That tells us that first he brings her karban mincha, and then he gives her to drink. So it comes out, practically speaking, the machlokus between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva is, we know that we force her to drink. But according to Rabbi Shimon, the forcing her to drink is going to be true only in a situation where it was done in the proper order, whereas Rabbi Akiva says, no, even if it was done in the improper order, even if they erased at a point in time when they weren't supposed to erase, let's say they erased before the karban mincha, even in that situation we force her to drink, according to Rabbi Akiva. But the Gemara continues, V'savar Rabbi Akiva mashken osab bal karcha. Does Rabbi Akiva really hold, this was Rabbi Akiva all the way at the top of the Yamud, does Rabbi Akiva really hold that we force her to drink? But we learned in a brayso, and this is from the Tosefta, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, Kalbus shel barzel matilon. They would put an iron hook in her mouth, that if the scroll was erased, and she said that I'm not going to drink, we would physically force her to drink. Rabbi Akiva responded, Rabbi Akiva said, don't we only need these waters to test her? If she says she's not going to drink, she's already tested, she's already admitted to her guilt. Ella rather, achelo karav hakometz, if it's before the kometz was brought, yechola lachzer, but she is able to retract. Mishakarav hakometz, eni yechola lachzer, but once the kometz is already brought, is already burned, so then it's too late, and she can no longer retract. And so we see clearly in this brayso that Rabbi Akiva is saying that we do not force her to drink once she says she's not going to drink. But the Gemara says, Vilataymich, but one second, according to your reasoning, Rabbi Akiva's statement itself doesn't really make sense. Tikshi lachi gufa. We can ask on Rabbi Akiva's statement itself in this brayso. Mishakarav hakometz eini yechola lachzer ba. It says again that once the kometz is brought, Rabbi Akiva says, she's not able to retract. It sounds like we do force her to drink. But isn't she already tested at that point in time also? She's already essentially admitted. So what exactly is Rabbi Akiva saying? Is Rabbi Akiva saying we force her, we don't force her? And so the Gemara answers lo kash, it's not difficult. Rabbi Akiva makes the following distinction. In one case we're talking about where she says she's not going to drink, but she says it, she's trembling, she's in fear. So in that situation, it's really just a nervousness, and we will force her to drink. But if she seems healthy, so to speak, and she says she's not going to drink, so that we already take as an admission, and we do not force her to drink. And the Gemara explains, this is what the brayso is saying. Kol machamas briyusa klal lo shasya. Anytime you have a situation where she seems healthy and she seems like she's not trembling with fear and she says she's not going to drink, we do not make her drink. In that situation, we take what she's saying as an admission. However, let's say she does it out of fear, so here she might still really think she's innocent, but she's still nervous to drink the waters, so then we make the following distinction. If it's before the kometz is brought, where the scroll has not yet been erased, or even if you do have a situation where it was erased, but the kohanim, but the kohanim didn't do properly, they erased it too early, that they erased it, so motzi hadraba, at that point in time when it's still early in the process, so then she's able to retract, we will not physically force her to drink. However, Mishakarav HaKometz, from the time that the Kometz was brought, the Vidin Ovid Kohanim Demachi, that at that point in time, it's proper for the Kohanim to erase the scroll, so Lo Matzi Hadraba, at that point in time, she is not able to retract. And Rashi explains, the Kahadra Machmas Ber Yusuf, she retracts out of health, out of a state of health. Hadakatani Bedukov Omedis, when we say it's considered like she's already tested, and therefore we do not give her to drink, the Kahadra Machmas Ber Yusu, that's in a situation again where she says she doesn't want to drink and she's in a state of health. She'ena rosasas, meaning she's not trembling. V'kamra eni shos, and she says, I'm not going to drink. So vadai tmeihi, that we take as an admission. She's certainly saying that she is tamei, and we do not give her to drink. Ulakach ena rosasa. That's why she's not trembling in this situation, because again, that's taken as an admission. But in a situation where she is trembling when she says she doesn't want to drink, that is not necessarily taken as an admission that she is tamei, that she's defiled. It could just be that she's nervous to drink the waters, even though she maintains her innocence. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chaf Amud Aleph.